on Ujjivan Small Finance Bank to discuss the recovery in rural demand, the outlook on advances and deposits, and much more. We've got Ittira Davis, the Managing Director and CEO of Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, with us. Thank you so much for taking time out. To begin with, given that micro group loans comprises about 60% of the book, can you walk us through the granularity and the credit costs?
Hi, good morning. It's good to be with ET, and thank you for having me. The book is looking very good at the moment. We have 70% of the book is on the micro banking side, about 15% of the book is on housing, and about 10% is with the micro and small enterprises, the MSC. So we are sort of distributed, but our core is still the micro banking. That's what we started out with, and that's what is taking the largest share of our book.
Primarily, how are these loans distributed? Wanted to understand how much of the loans are coming in from the rural and how much from the urban segment.
We are sort of equally distributed between the urban, the semi-urban, and the rural. We have one of the conditions for small finance banks is that 25% of our branches have to be in the rural unbanked areas. So we do have that distribution of branches. That helps us to grow the rural book as well. But some of our branches are in semi-urban areas, which also cater to the rural areas. So if you look at the book, we are about 1/3 in each of the areas. We started out as an urban microfinance institution, but right now we are evenly spread across urban, semi-urban, and rural.
Right. Your deposit growth has been equally strong as well, and you've a renewed focus on your CASA, as I understand. What exactly is the strategy? What is it that you're doing so differently now?
With the turnaround and the COVID behind us, we have in the last 4 quarters been able to focus on rebuilding the business. As in the insurance business, they say COVID was an act of God, but the management and the turnaround is in our hands. It has to be, after getting a banking license, deposit growth has been very critical for all smaller finance banks. And we have been pushing in that direction. Now, of course, very often people tell us that small finance banks have the highest deposit rates, which is good in a way, which is something that we can offer the public. And that is based on our business model. Our business model allows us to do that. And that is why you will find small finance banks offering a slightly higher rate than the others. But having said that, in the last 2 or 3 weeks since the last rate hike from RBI, all banks have increased their rates, and even some of the private banks are inching towards the rates offered by small finance banks.
Is there a reverse merger in the offing? Because that would be a substantial benefit for the Ujjivan Finance shareholders. So give us a sense as to whether or not that's in the pipeline and what the valuations as well are here and the timelines that you're working with.
Yeah, last week, the boards of the 2 companies, that is Ujjivan Financial, which is the holding company, and Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, which is the bank, had their own meetings, and both the boards approved the reverse merger. And the ratio of the reverse merger is 11.6 shares of the bank for 1 share of the holding company. And now that has to be taken forward through the exchanges and the Reserve Bank of India. And finally, once those are cleared, we will have to take it to the NCLT for final approvals.
All right. And what about your NPA ratio? Because that has improved sharply. Do you see it? Where do you see it normalizing?
Our numbers for the second quarter are still in progress. But having said that, if you see the last 2 or 3 quarters, we have been doing very well. Our collections have been doing extremely well. And I think that has helped to contain the NPAs. And our objective is to try and bring it down to what was the pre-COVID levels. The whole NPA thing at microfinance was below 1% at that time when we went into COVID. It's a long haul to get there, but we intend to push in that direction. And however soon we can get there, that's the objective.
Mr. Davis, great to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for giving us a color on where things are headed for Ujjivan.